Hey church, I hope that you have been following along with our current worship series. We are talking about, it's called Say What? We're talking about the power of our words. And this past week we were talking about gossip and slander, and we were reading James chapter 4, verse 11. It starts off by saying, don't criticize one another. And that can also be translated to say, don't slander one another, don't speak evil of one another. And it's important that we recognize in this verse that James is talking about how we relate to one another within the church, how we relate to other fellow believers. And it's so important that we not gossip or slander against one another because, first of all, when we do that, we're acting like we are the judge, like we are God. But even more than that, when we do this, it ruins our Christian witness. How many of us know people who refuse to go to church because they are convinced that the people in the church are all hypocrites? Gossip and slander plays into that. We need to be mindful of the fact that there is a world watching how we treat one another because it tells us how we're going to treat the rest, tells them how we're going to treat the rest of the world. And so they look to us to see how we treat one another, and our witness of God's love needs to be reflected in that and how we treat one another. So James tells us, don't criticize one another, don't speak evil of one another, don't slander one another. And that can be hard because in a group of people, there's going to be disagreement. There's going to be differences. But here's the good news. The Bible doesn't just tell us a bunch of do nots. The Bible is full of instruction and encouragement and examples that we can learn from about how God intends for us to live out this life together. God knows we're going to have disagreements, that we're going to have differences, but He's given us the tools right here to deal with those differences and disagreements. So pay attention to the do nots, but go searching for the do's. Go searching for the parts where the Bible tells us to encourage one another, where the Bible tells us to correct one another in love, to have mercy on one another, to forgive one another freely. Look for the things that the Bible is telling us to do so that we can protect our Christian witness and we can share the love and forgiveness that we have been blessed with to a world that needs that same love and forgiveness. They need to see it in us so that they can trust that they're going to receive that same love and forgiveness to an even greater degree, an immeasurable degree, from a God who loves them.